Good evening. Apologies for the delay. We are live. I'm Kushagra, and we're here to discuss football today. Once again, FA Cup final day, and itna to banta hi hai. Considering we now have an overload of Chelsea fans in our panels these days, we've got Vijay, Siddharth, and Akshay here. Hoping that Chelsea can start this, row of finals which they have on a positive note and can get a win here tonight against Leicester. But coming to you guys, I'll straight away start with Vijay first. It's Thomas Tuchel's first final with Chelsea, of course. In a way, post Germany, because in France you would have expected him to win all cup finals. This is probably his biggest match apart from the Champions League final to date in the last 3 years. And we spoke about Tuchel before he came in, and about your views on Tuchel and how positive you were when he came in. I just
Yeah.
want to talk about
Wait.
how justified
How
as a fan do
positive
you feel?
Kushagra wasn't. How positive
I wasn't.
Kushagra
I
wasn't.
completely concede that because didn't think that Thomas Tuchel could do this, but he's really impressed me with the way he's managed to get what he's gotten out of his squad. Do you think it doesn't matter what happens in these two finals for you to be sure of what you think of the manager, or do you think these two finals are a big step that perceptions could still vary?
Interesting question. First of all, I'm just gonna take a 2 second pause because more Chelsea fans than Man U fans on this podcast.
That rarely
Um,
happens.
yes, and I give credit to Thomas Tuchel, right? Like we have stuff to talk about. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Speaking of, in terms of whether he has to win these two important games to us for us to actually believe Thomas Tuchel is a bad manager, I don't think so. I think Thomas Tuchel has proven more than enough because I think we are, and this was probably brought up in the earlier podcast I was on, that the high of reaching the Champions League final has sort of made us forget where we came from. We were like ninth, guys, and probably the only other team that's done this season, this kind of a jump in front, is Manchester City, and they're winning the title, right? From like so far back in the table to the top. But it also goes to say that, like you said, Kushaga, these two games are happening and they are super important. And one of the reasons I think you did this Thomas Tuchel is that he hasn't won anything. So these are two games where he can actually win something and, calm us fans down, calm us rival fans down. But in terms of what he knows as a manager, I think you can hear it from the players that have played for him, the other managers that play against him, that he is a person who knows his tactics very well. And we are seeing that in his Chelsea squad. We might not have seen that against Arsenal, but we are seeing that from like in the last 20 games or so that he's been playing, heading us for us. So yeah, I think so. Two super important games and a final where we have 21,000 fans coming in. So it's going to feel
Yeah.
like a proper football game, and I think it's going to feel like a title that's been won differently for a very long time, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean it's a bit unreal. As I managed to catch on the highlights of the DFB Pokal final between
Yeah.
Dortmund and Leipzig. There, I just imagine. I mean, how different would it be at Wembley with actual fans cheering on the
Yeah.
winners there? Because that'll be quite stunning. We've not seen that. I think it'll be a little strange. That little experiment in the winter that happened, that a few clubs were getting fans and stuff like that. That felt weird. When you had like a pocket of 3,000 fans
Also,
there, that's it.
yeah, also, watching the fans alongside being able to hear them for the first time
Yeah.
after a while.
Yeah,
Exactly. I mean,
I
this
think, I
comes
think,
in
I
a.
think, yeah.
Yeah.
When the swearing doesn't come from just the referees, right?
I mean,
Exactly.
I, I was watching the United Liverpool game, unfortunately, but yeah, I was, and at one point, I think at that point United was still leading. It was still 1-0. Solskjaer shouted because United were falling deeper and deeper and deeper. He shouted,
Yeah.
"Go and fucking get it!" And Peter
Yeah.
Drury is out there like literally 5 seconds later. We are very sorry for the for the foul language used. If you're
Yeah.
offended, we deeply regret it. Uh,
I don't know why that's done. I don't know. I mean, if you're
I was like,
offended, you're
dude,
offended.
what did he say? Go and fucking get it. Like, okay. Oh my god. such eggshells.
But there's like a house in which a kid goes, "Mommy, what does fucking get it mean?" And that's what I think they're opposed to.
ये कौन सा घर है
कौन सा
and
घर है?
ये
But
कौन बच्चा
also, na,
है?
the point is that just like we saw fans in the India-England series, it felt weird because people were actually not wearing masks and all of that. And you all like even when you watch it on TV these days, like the old TV series, you kind of wonder why people are going outside and not wearing masks, right? It's very weird. It gets to you at some point. So it would be nice to see actual people actually cheering up. You won't obviously see that same amount of people trying to go towards the edge of the ground and players celebrating with them. You won't see that level of excitement if we win the cup final last
Obviously
minute,
not.
right?
Obviously not. I'm
Unless
sure.
someone's going incredibly berserk and they've lost
I
their
don't think.
minds
I
and
don't think. So I
yeah,
don't think they'll even keep the fans closer to the goal or something like
yeah,
that
they
when it
won't.
comes to celebrations or anything like that. I think I'm sure they'll keep them away because once again I think the entire till the end of the Euros the bubble has to remain secure,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
So you can't really do that, and they do things much more differently. My dad, we can't compare that to cricket. I can
yeah,
compare it to Australia. I can compare it to Australia when we saw public there. I think that's
yeah,
fantastic. It's just for me it's really nice because I have full hopes that we'll see probably a full crowd at Wimbledon, and for me that's the best
yeah.
part of the year. And so
Yeah.
yes, I have my own personal reasons, but yes, coming to you, Akshay, yaar, in terms of काफी nostalgia
Coffee nostalgia.
back to tonight's match, the first final for Tuchel, as we've spoken about it.
Yeah.
We did talk about this being an opportunity for Leicester for actually finally winning the FA Cup. They're the club
Yeah.
with the most losses without actually having won the cup in the history of the FA Cup. They've lost 4 finals,
Yeah.
but this is their first final since '69 or something like that. So insane scenes. And यार रॉजर्स का यही सीन है, सो क्लोज yet so far वाला सीन ना, वही दूर का लड्डू
Yeah.
sort of a thing. Do you think आज कुछ he can break the jinx? Because whatever said and done, जो भी lineup थी United की, they won
Yeah.
quite easily.
Yeah.
And what do you think going ahead will be the do you think that changes anything really? Last results जो Chelsea का हुआ और जो Leicester का हुआ, does that change anything? Because to be honest, Chelsea go in as huge favorites.
Yeah, obviously Chelsea go in as huge favorites, but when you look at Leicester's squad, they are not that bad. Like, they're a really good squad. They're in top 3. So we have to give them some credit, and we've seen there's Jamie Vardy, there's Iheanacho, there are players who can make difference in seconds. We've seen Madison एक थ्रू बॉल डाला गेम खोल सकता है. He hasn't been in the same form, but we know what these guys are capable of. Tielemans is having a wonderful season, so he can open up the play. So there are some wonderful players with Leicester, and they definitely have a chance. ऐसा नहीं है कि there's huge difference in quality. मतलब ऐसा नहीं है कि दोनों टीम्स में काफी अंतर है, because it's not that मतलब we are favorites, but we are not like huge favorites. ऐसा नहीं है कि हम एस्टन ये वेस्ट ब्रॉम या किसी और से खेल रहे हैं.
It's not like the Man City Aston Villa final that happened.
Yeah, exactly. So it's going to be really interesting, and it's going to be a close final.
You had to say West Brom, right? Of all teams.
Why I was thinking ये West Brom के against ये delusional
हाँ,
chance है.
अरे
You must be very happy, Akshay. They got relegated.
Exactly.
Two losses next year averted.
Yeah. There was a point where Chelsea had
गलती
that
से
issue
निकल
with
गया.
Newcastle.
I regretted it. The moment I said West Brom, I regretted.
Truth be told, I'd rather take 2 losses to West Brom than Arsenal. But yeah.
Oh, wow,
you
yes.
got both
That
of them.
also happened, but yeah.
Yeah.
And I think a pretty shitty couple of days for both. I think both are clubs, but yeah. I don't know what to say about that. But Rege, coming to you, man. I'm sure you have your eyes firmly set on the Champions League final as well. Do you think we can learn anything about the Champions League final from this match, or do you think a completely different strategy रहेगी? Because I think, as Akshay was also saying, I do completely expect Chelsea to play a very similar to what Real Madrid second leg lineup that was, apart from the fact that Arrizabalaga obviously stays in goal instead of Mendy.
Yeah, I mean, I was just checking if Rudiger is fit. Turns out, I think he is. I think it's going to be a very very similar lineup that we are most likely to put against City in the Champions League final. Having said that, pata nahi yaar, a few surprises could come in the form of Kovacic, who's finally joined training, and he's a massive player. Especially if you saw that game against Arsenal, a game where Jorginho isn't able to run a lot with the ball and take on those players in the midfield. That's what Kovacic does really well. So an added aspect and a different thing. Probably, I'm not sure if he starts today. I think today we'll go with Conte and Jorginho. But if you're talking about the final as compared to this one, that's one twitch that we could see. Uh, I think he fits in a better midfield three if Mount has to play up there. So, but having said that, today I think Werner will start because he was on the bench in that Arsenal game. I expect Werner, Pulisic, and probably Mount to start.
Pulisic slightly doubtful is what I've heard. He's got a
Yeah,
knock.
so was Rudiger. So was Rudiger. I'm not sure.
I
So
think
if they're fully fit,
Pulisic will start from bench. I feel
Bench,
it will
yeah.
be Havertz.
Should be Havertz,
uh,
yeah.
the thing is, I would like Werner to play on that left wing because his pace is a real worry. And we saw how Leicester struggled against Newcastle, not United,
Yeah.
where Newcastle absolutely pushed the game to them. They were sitting deep, not basically how you see expect a team like Leicester to play against Newcastle. So
Yeah.
that's what I think we'll try to do. Completely push them from the first minute because they don't have that kind of confidence right now. Vardy has gone absolutely missing. They have over relied on Iheanacho because there are other two assets in that attack, which is Madison and Vardy, haven't turned up. So let's see what happens.
All right, all right. As Rege himself was being talked over in his own in his own little segment there, but कोई बात नहीं Rege. All of these challenges we all face. But I'll come to you, Pratnesh, right after I take these few comments. And I think Vipul is really happy
Yeah.
about City and their away record. So let's give
Vipul's
him a
really
little.
happy about starting to watch football after City
Yeah.
started winning. Yeah.
McTominay and Fred, we can't even fuck all with them. Got no clue why Ole fancy them week in, week out. All right,
Definitely captain material, Bruno Fernandes.
Manish, Manish says, "क्या बोलती है public? Jimmy wanted to have a party. Let's see, Manish.
Yeah,
Let's see.
man.
That'll be fun, right? Vipul. That's so, guys. This is a little Man City circle jerk. So be happy. Man City have won their last 12 away league matches, the longest ever away winning run by a team in the top 4 tiers of English league football since its formation of in 1888. All right, हाँ ठीक है Vipul is what Manish says. All right, and yes, but City are unbeaten in the last 23 away games in all competitions domestically, of course. Longest ever unbeaten run by a side in the top 4 tiers. Fantastic, Vipul. If only we were missing Masoom and you're here. Overtaking Notts County's run of 22 in 2012. All right, and only
Actually,
Newcastle.
Notts County's run is way more impressive considering the team that they have. I mean,
Yeah, and also Newcastle and West Brom have conceded more home goals in the Premier League this season. United. That's a major reason of worry. I think we will talk about that a little bit with Pratmesh, and of course about that pathetic match that happened. Oh come on, man, you can't escape it. You got to talk about it. आज जो भी हो पीएल मैच में ड्रॉ होना चाहिए चेल्सी और लेस्टर के बीच में. अच्छा चलो देखते हैं. यशो, of course you would want that. Scott Carson with 7 points in FPL. What a decision. Kudos to you, Pranav. Look at him.
there was one manager in FPL who
Anyway-
triple captained him. There was one
Anyway,
manager who
अकेला
triple
खेल रहा है.
वही अकेले ही खेल रहा है.
केबी स्टैट्स डाल दे comparing city and different countries. ठीक है, all right. We will come to that.
I like how none of the comments have anything to do with what we're discussing.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
No one cares about Leicester versus Chelsea.
I miss the porn bots. I miss the porn bots.
Seriously, man.
But yes, of course, we are of course here trying to preview the FA Cup final. between Chelsea and Leicester City. But coming to you, Pratmesh, we do need to take a little bit of a sidetrack towards what happened the mauling on Thursday night, or rather, I mean, the self shooting on Thursday night.
Yeah.
How pathetic was that performance, and more importantly, what is worse? Manchester United's defense or Manchester United's midfield?
See, first of all, silver lining. Try to find a silver lining in everything.
So,
We won't be having Thursday nights next season. So this was our last visible third Thursday night, unless Premier League schedule.
I am
it on a
sure
Thursday.
there are a couple of matches that get delayed, and just for taking the piss, FA put it on a Thursday.
So yeah, I mean, apart from that, that's the silver lining I'm going to look at. No more Thursday nights. I mean, at least until we get knocked out in the league, in the group stage. But again, I mean, something to look forward to at least until January. Tension nahi hai life mein. But see, it was very disappointing. I mean, I've always been someone who has, had my own, I would say, misled love or something about towards Harry Maguire, that certain favorism. But I think you can see now exactly why that lump of clay is required at the back, because at least he's there, at least he heads the balls out, at least he has some kind of command in defense. When you look at Eric Bailly, yeah.
Just a point to add to that. Isn't it worrying कि बाकी कितने shit हैं?
See, Harry Maguire, I genuinely feel. See, Harry Maguire
sentence heard in the Arsenal boardroom all the time.
All the time. And that's the scene, right? With Harry Maguire at Leicester, you had someone like Johnny Evans who was more sorted, which is why Maguire was sought after. And Maguire played well at Leicester, to be honest. Maguire was a genuinely good defender at Leicester, played well for England in the Euros as well. In the World Cup as well. So he was genuinely good there. The problem now for Maguire, and it's not just Maguire's issue, like Maguire himself will get much better as a player when he gets a better centre back. When you look at Lindelof and Bailly, you always know they have two mistakes in the game. And genuinely, it was very bad to look at both of them. Lindelof, there were times even in that Leicester game when Lindelof genuinely looked uninterested. I don't know if it was the Leicester game or the game before that where we conceded early on, and Lindelof just let Aston Villa, when Traore scored.
Yeah, he gave him so much space to.
Yeah, he gave him so much space inside the penalty box, and then Eric Bailly just seems to be fancy trying things that he shouldn't try as a defender. I mean, they don't look settled at all. It's like you don't have that assurity of someone who's a proper ball carrier. Lindelof can carry the ball, but when he goes ahead, usko pata nahi hai kya karna. He keeps on asking like this.
This is just a question of curiosity, but did Liverpool play well?
Liverpool played well, but much as you would credit
one more
Liverpool,
point.
It
was self-inflicted.
3 out of the 4
one
goals were
question.
self-inflicted.
One question. Why would you put Pogba against Trent Alexander-Arnold? Why was he there on that left?
Exactly.
एक नया चीज शुरू हो गई है when you put Pogba on the left and you put Rashford on the right, you put Greenwood on the bench, who's been the most informed player along with Cavani for Manchester United in the last 2 months. I would say.
The problem is I genuinely feel that you have to have Pogba in the middle. The only issue for Man United is they don't want to play Greenwood those number of minutes. They don't want to do what Barca's traditionally done with Pedri. I mean, that's one thing that people have been talking about, that your youngsters getting overworked. But then at some point you need to realize Greenwood's looking good at this point of time.
He's had 100.
Yeah, he's had 100 appearances. Yes, I think you have to consider that.
So
you have to consider that now. He's not a youngster anymore. He led the line with Elanga and this guy.
But baat to wo nahi hai na. You do consider that. I think the primary cause is, again, it comes back to the midfield, because he doesn't trust one of the two to do that job, which is a one-man job. That's why he has 2 players to do that one.
He has to play 2 players.
Unfortunately, both of them can't pass. And so
Fred, I'm telling you, Kushagra, I've never seen such a bad Brazilian player.
I wasn't even mad, He's gotten selected in the squad by the latest Brazil squad. So, yeah.
Why? Don't they have Fernandinho? Has he retired?
Fernandinho.
No. Fred is a decent utility player to have. If you look at Brazil.
But you can't have him as a CDM.
Yeah, you can't have him as a CDM.
He's the best player.
He can play that role Ramirez played for Chelsea. He can.
Dude, no.
Ramirez was
I
a
mean,
far
not the
better
same
player.
quality.
Different
not
player,
the same
different
But
player.
quality.
Ramirez at least had a range
Ramirez
of
had,
passing and he could shoot
yeah,
the ball.
Yeah,
an acceleration that was
Ramirez
so
had
amazing.
an X factor. That's the thing. Ramirez had an X factor.
Yeah.
With McTominay, the only pseudo X factor you would give
I
him is
can
his
never
height and his
picture,
physicality.
yeah,
But
and I can
with
never
Fred, you
picture
can't
Fred.
give him that as well.
I can never
We have
picture
the
Fred
X.
stopping the goalkeeper at Camp Nou. Probably if it is own goalkeeper, then I don't know. But like not the opposition keeper.
I mean, dude, at this point, we can't imagine Werner doing that, so let's not go there, right?
No,
Yeah.
I think Werner can score that goal that Torres scored, bro. You don't think so?
But yes, I mean, credit
We have a
credit to
game at the
Liverpool.
end of this month. Maybe he will prove
Yeah.
me wrong. Yeah.
See,
Uh,
credit where it is due. Liverpool played well. I mean, Trent
yeah,
looked absolutely
they
fantastic.
were deserving
Trent
winners.
looked fantastic. Trent's passing range showed exactly why he's the best attacking fullback in the world, if not in
Thank you so
probably
And
in the world.
ये
And
देखो
you,
can we?
ये तो
Yeah.
discussion है. Yeah.
also Fabinho, man. Fabinho played really well. He did a good job on Fernandes. He did a good job on McTominay when McTominay is coming forward. Pogba's coming infield, and that's when the defenders. I mean, massive credits to Reece Williams and Nathaniel Phillips because although Phillips made that mistake, Cavani was never allowed that space to run into. And at some point, it started to hamper United, with United themselves being very bad, on the ball. No one was crossing properly with Wan Bissaka. It literally at some point felt like he was shooting the ball instead of crossing it in, or he was just trying to jack back onto his right foot and give it to McTominay, who was unable to provide a cross. So United looked very pale and very. It looked like a lackluster performance. It looked like it's not even a preseason performance. It was a
No, I
performance
mean,
from a team
it was
that just
very
want to
bad
play.
considering it
Yeah,
was Liverpool. It felt very
yeah.
flat and it felt very dead. I think I'll say first 15-20 minutes United were good, but then after that I think it was all I think 20 after
After we
26
scored,
minutes.
we lost it.
I
After
think
we scored,
20,
we lost it.
25th minute after that, it was all Liverpool. And,
Yeah.
United kept on gifting them passes in the middle of the pitch. And then I must add, as he said, Trent Alexander-Arnold was fantastic. So was Diogo Jota. I think he was the best attacker once again. And, in the end,
Firmino.
Firmino and Salah, of course, got their goals as well. But I think Diogo Jota was the main fulcrum for them in attack. And, all in all, good job. First win ever for Klopp at Old Trafford. First win for
Yeah.
Liverpool in a lot
Jinxed it,
many years.
Tushar. You jinxed it.
Since 2014, I think this is 20. It's all right. I think I can't help it. Like United, you can't defend United. They weren't good enough. So
If United can't
say-
defend, Gary Neville
United
said it
can't.
right. When the defense outside Old Trafford looks better than the defense inside Old Trafford, that's when you have a worry. And we have a worry right now.
Yeah, you do. So all right. I think if you guys want to talk about that game, I would rather just
No.
Leicester.
There's an FA
Leicester.
Cup final in 2.5 hours, guys. We haven't talked about Wembley, N'Golo Kante versus Leicester. Like, I don't know. But we've talked about Fred and McTominay. So thanks, guys. Thanks for that.
We barely spoken about that for 5 minutes, you guys. Anyway,
Let's take a vote, guys. Let's take a vote.
Today you have the vote. Today you have the vote.
I'll take the comments and I'll come to you. I'll come to you only, Vijay. I'll come to you with your starting lineup and because what formation do you go against this Leicester team as well? Because it has shown it can play 3 at the back, 4 at the back. And do you change your 3 at the back formula or you just stick with it? We'll talk about that. Manish, it was an expensive City bench yesterday, even though KDB and Aguero were not in the team yesterday. All right. Aisa mat bol, Vijay. First question was Vardy for the FA Cup final. Yeah. Rafinha has now provided 8 assists, most by these players since Hasselbank. All right. Chelsea fans would remember him fondly. Since the start of the 17-18 season, only 2 players have made 200 plus tackles and interceptions and over 900 recoveries. Oh, Ndidi and Kante. All right, Vijay. So I guess that's my cue. Coming to you, talking about these 2 guys, Ndidi and Kante. Also, I want to talk to you about a little about the Leicester transfer strategy as well, because they've just bought a fantastic young player from France called Bouboucare Soumare or Baboukare Soumare. I'm not sure. So it's basically Soumare. That's all right. From Lille, if I'm not wrong, the team that's hopefully going to win the league in France there. So it just shows what fantastic planning as a club they already have. That they're already planning for a succession plan for a player like Wilfred Ndidi, as the Whipple said in the stats there. With those kind of stats, one could be very sure that the likes of Man City who are looking for a Fernandinho replacement, or the likes of Liverpool who are looking for a Wijnaldum replacement, or for any other big club around Europe.
We are looking for it, Kushagra. We are looking for it.
Realistic
For a
clubs that
player,
are
not a
looking.
replacement, for a player.
All right, looking for it. So you think how beautifully they've structured their team, and if they are able to win tonight, it'll be such a massive marker for Leicester. Do you think they can then propel themselves towards a trajectory where they can actually invade this top six, make it a seven? Because Everton haven't been able to do that. Leicester have had a fantastically different approach and a much better working approach.
So top 6 and top 7, looking at the table, they're there. And unless barring the fact that they do something extremely heartbreaking, they're going to be there next season. They're going to be in the Champions League. And knowing that Sid and Akshay are here, I was actually hoping to prepare to look at it from Leicester's point of view. And I'm glad that you asked me this question, because can we just say they deserve to be where they are? They are of all the top
I
four
would really
teams,
be happy
right?
for them.
Like City, we can say it's the money. For United, we can say I don't know. I think you also don't know, but Chelsea also, Tuchel it's just magic pixie dust at this point. And Leicester are the only team that have been consistent. And part of the reason why Chelsea are up there, United are up there, and a few months back when Tottenham and Liverpool were up there, it's that all the top 4, top 5, top 6, top 7 teams have been inconsistent. If I think I look at the rear view mirror, there's West Ham. Am I not wrong?
Yeah.
Right. And I think I said this like months back on a podcast. Leicester are one of the very few clubs in the Premier League right now that know what kind of club they want to be. They know that they're not the club that's going to attract the best players. They know the market isn't for their buying. They know that they have to scout extremely well, and they've been doing that. I think the season before they won the title, I think that's where you saw them pick out gems like Riyad Mahrez and Golo Kante. Their scouting system has just been like insanely great. I know, like, and everybody had that heart-sinking moment when Leicester won the Premier League that, next season, I mean, it just took maybe a decision of Vardy staying with Leicester and not going to Arsenal. Just that the whole team didn't get dismembered at that point, like vultures.
But the entire team almost, was broken
exactly.
Apart. It started with Conte, and then you had Mahrez go. You had even at that point, Chelsea fans don't remember him very well, but Danny Drinkwater was a fantastic part of that team. Very functional team.
Yep. And I'm just saying, Liverpool's other example was the guy they replaced Kante with.
Yeah.
That's how brilliant they are, right?
Yeah, they actually replaced Conte with NDD, and look how they've replaced Danny Drinkwater. That deal that they cracked with Monaco to get you.
What a player, bro!
I mean, how can you exchange Yuri Tillemans for an Adrian Silva? I know they gave a club record transfer fee, but how can you justify or satisfy a club by that transfer? And this guy,
it worked for Monaco, to be honest.
No, it did not, bro. He's nowhere near the starting lineup.
It worked for the season.
I think he's probably gone back out on
loan.
He's gone to Sporting or somewhere.
Yeah. So I mean, but Yuri Tillemans, this 22-year-old, we've known about at Monaco, with his stadium renaming to Tillemans, entire episode that happened. But just what he's done at Leicester this season, he's cemented his place there right now, and he's an exciting man.
And I think he starts for Belgium, if I'm not wrong. I think he does. He does. His stock could be really high by the end of the summer because Belgium has a fantastic team, and I just have a sneaky feeling all of this Eden Hazard nonsense is just going to turn around after the Euros. I just have a feeling he'll turn it up for Belgium. They'll probably reach a semi-final or a final as they do, not win it as they always do. But
he has an opportunity to turn it around in FIFA as well.
Of course. Just a little bit of a fake cursor onto what we've been doing in the last couple of days. But yeah, we'll keep you guys updated around that. Akshay, काफी time से यार तेरे पास नहीं आया, but coming to you, I promised Vijay I'll ask him for a starting lineup. I never did it, so I'll start with Akshay. And then make my way to the other two Chelsea fans. And Pratmesh, if you could give us a Leicester lineup on your behalf, and Vijay, if you could also mention a few players as you were talking about a Leicester perspective. For anyone who's interested, PSG have released their new home kit, as the poll has told us. So
no one cares.
Good on PSG, I guess. Great. Akshay, coming to you, man. Kya lineup? What are we expecting today? Is, as I mentioned, from the second leg at Real Madrid versus Real Madrid,
Yeah.
sorry, is Mendy the only change, or do you expect maybe a couple more changes?
No, I feel Mendy will be the only change. Backline to ऐसे ही रहेगा. I think Rudiger has been one of our most important players. We saw that in the previous game. Kurt Zuma couldn't look out for that pass. तो उसने दे दिया जॉर्जिनो को, एंड जॉर्जिनो ऑब्वियसली जो हुआ उसके बाद that's there to see, and we lost that game. So that's important change for us because Rudiger looks out for passes and he picks passes really well. He carries the ball really well. So we have that advantage with Rudiger. I think he's much more improved defender as well. He looks out for the interceptions and everything. He knows he has a good defensive midfielder and good partners around him. Obviously, Thiago Silva's involvement has helped massively for Christensen and Rudiger. They both have improved massively. Christensen's improvement has been tremendous. Like, we were talking about him getting sold for 10-15 million because he was that bad for us, and he's turned it around in this system. I think he's made for that back three system, and I don't think we'll change that. We won't see any changes in the system as well. We'll go with the same system. Obviously, front three, like Prathamesh said, at left wing we will have Timo Werner. There's no one else. I don't see anyone else at that left wing. Obviously, Kai Havertz in that number 9 role, and at right wing we'll see Mason Mount. So this will be my front three. Obviously, they'll keep on changing their positions. That's really interesting to see how Kai Havertz and Mason Mount do that. They do that during the game. It's really interesting to see. And when you talk about Kai Havertz's involvement in the game, he really gets involved when he knows like he has to just go in one direction. He doesn't have to come back and defend for the ball. So I think it improves his game. Like Tuchel mentioned about Kai Havertz, he's a mixture of a number 9 and number 10. So I think it's important for him to play in the front three, around that front three. I think in the midfield he was getting, I don't know, he wasn't that useful for us. So it will be really crucial for him to get some momentum now.
All right,
Yeah.
fair enough. We'll come to Reggae about it. Reggae, एक तो in terms of starting lineup जो अक्षय ने बोली, do you completely agree with it? And also when you talk about this particular match, we have had a few stories flying around Christian Pulisic. Lot of clamor for him in the US. Why he doesn't he start matches? He's given a couple of interviews, earlier, not the most recent one, where he said that he would want to stay and fight. But in terms of where Werner, you're always very insistent about Werner having great speed. That's why you want him on the left because very effective. And Alan saying Maximan ko bhi bola tha and all. But for me, I think Christian Pulisic is definitely probably, at least in my humble opinion, he's the best player you guys have. What really confuses me is how does he not find a regular starting lineup spot in this squad, and how do more functional players find a spot? Because whenever I see him come on or whenever I see him start, he is in the middle of creating things. Whether it's an important match, whether it's a normal match, whether it's a cup final like it was versus Arsenal last year. It's very unfortunate with the injury. When you know he's a fragile player, don't you think at this point he's being underused now rather than just being managed properly?
No, see, if you look at that Chelsea lineup, what has happened, the front line especially, there's only one player who is guaranteed starter, and that's Mason Mount, rightfully. Other than that, what has happened right now is, I think midway since Tuchel took over, you've had Werner, Havertz, and Pulisic all hit form. Ziyech, I don't think has hit that zone yet, but he's also showing glimpses of it. So I think with looking at that, I think he's rotated them very well because Pulisic started against Real Madrid. Uh, sorry, against Manchester City.
Against
Uh, uh,
Manchester
uh,
City, he didn't start against Real
yeah,
Madrid. He came on.
Yeah, he
against
started
Manchester
first
City.
leg.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So see, he's rotated these guys pretty well. In the last game, also Werner sat. We had Pulisic play. So in terms of him being a guaranteed starter, I agree with you. I think when he's in form, he's our best player. But the thing right now is all these guys are showing form. So you won't want to lose out on because if you look at his position, he essentially is a winger. He isn't someone who leads the front line. If you look at leading the front line, there you have Havertz or Werner do it for you, right? So I think he's rotated them really well because we have reached at this moment where we're looking at the FA Cup semi-final, a fairly possible top four finish, and possibly the Champions League. He's rotated these guys very well because that's what the biggest problem was under Lampard. None of them clicked. So it's see for right now it's not a clear choice for me, but Pulisic is definitely giving you a very big shout over there because when he's in form, we saw that at the end of last season. When he's in form, he absolutely takes the game away from anyone.
All right, absolutely. And for me, I think Christian Pulisic is a player I've followed for quite a long time, even before he moved to Borussia Dortmund. The player, you do keep looking at that hipster club that it is. You do keep having youngsters that you do follow there. Yeah.
Yeah, just one last point. I don't think he's completely free of that injury. So last game also against Arsenal, you saw him hold his leg once or twice. I
Yeah,
think it's
Pulisic ka
80-90%
yeah,
situation.
Pulisic or Rashford ka na, they have this art of always looking injured.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing with Marcus Rashford. I never feel like he's ever like fully fit 100% because so
Yeah.
always while he's going off when if he's substituted or he'll fall down or something, there'll be something wrong, and you're always worried about it.
To
But
be
yeah,
honest, both of
coming
them need a break, and
yeah they
Pulisic
do.
will get it
I don't
because
I
Pulisic doesn't have
expect
the Euros.
yeah, I think Pulisic will get it in the summer, so it'll be good for him. But coming to you, Vijay, a little bit about Chelsea, but in terms of the lineup, I guess you agree with the guys because we are seeing a similar pattern develop. You don't agree with the guys with the lineup?
I think this is a game for Giroud, to be honest. I think everybody's forgotten that he can score big goals in big games. And the one in Atletico Madrid keeps coming to mind. And I don't expect this to be some kind of goal fest game. I think it's going to be like a 1-0 to one side. It's really got that sort of billing. And I think Giroud is the kind of guy, especially with how strange the game against Arsenal was, that none of our squad, like it's not that we were the bad team, right? It's that we had like so many chances and we weren't clinical enough. So I mean, I can never predict Tuchel. So it's just I can totally understand if it's the same lineup and Real Madrid, but I think Tuchel might just play Mount again in the number 8 position more rather than the forward, and I can imagine Giroud leading the lineup
All
for this
right,
game.
and in terms of Leicester, apart from the basic, of course, basic threats like the likes of Vardy and probably Madison, who might start. Who else you might be looking at in terms of whether it's a goal threat or whether it's a guy who might nullify your attackers?
Iheanacho, is he not in form?
I think he's in pretty good form, yeah.
He's pretty
He's
good.
in
Yeah,
pretty
I
good
think
form.
more than Vardy and Madison, I think Tuchel will come up with a way, or at least our back five would have to somehow accommodate the goal threat from Iheanacho. Um, and I think that's the thing with Leicester now. They are. This isn't a West Brom. Isn't even an Arsenal. And we're looking at. And I know we still, as three Chelsea fan on this podcast, we still have the bubbling feel of the Champions League final in our grasp, but we can play as bad as we played against Arsenal. Like basically a squad that's built that's really well, but our performance is being 80%. And in a cup final, your 80% is just not good enough. And Leicester are a team that can capitalize on the lack of 20.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. As they showed over the week as well, they are a team that can run away with games, and they can also, because of the midfield that they have, they can control games very well. So talking about
Yeah.
that, Pratmesh, what do you expect the Leicester starting 11 to be?
I mean, this is probably the biggest game in Leicester City's history since 2016. So, I
Yeah.
mean, this is massive for them. It is all about, what Vijay has been talking about, right? Consistently, they have had a roadmap towards building this club, and I think, regardless of what happens in the final, they will keep doing it. But it is nice to have a trophy along the way, and especially someone who has been as consistent as Leicester have been. I mean, this is massive kudos to them to even getting here. But yes, see, first of all, I do expect Madison to play. We will see Madison, Castagna, Pereira, all of these guys play. I don't. I think Johnny Evans should be back, and that would be a
He will be
massive
back.
boost for them. So he will be back. So it will be a massive boost because you look at Soyuncu and Fofana. One of them tends to have that moment where you make a mistake and let a goal in, or you just don't have the experience to be at certain positions at certain times, which Johnny Evans has, and that back three suits him really well when Castagna on the left and Pereira on the right have that width and also the pace to go up and down. So that suits them very well, and that is exactly when you have the likes of Tielemans and Didi and Madison who can control the game in the midfield for Vardy and Iheanacho to make runs. And in spite of the fact that Vardy isn't in good form, the thing that Jamie Vardy has is consistency in terms of the effort that he gives, in terms of the runs that he makes. He's always available to go behind the defense. And when you look at Chelsea centre backs with Christensen, Thiago Silva, and Rudiger, none of them like Rudiger has the pace, but then if you look at the other side where Jamie Vardy usually plays with Christensen and Thiago Silva, you don't associate them with covering up the same
Azpilicueta
face.
will play.
Yeah, if Aspilicueta plays, I think that's even better. But if Aspilicueta plays right wing back, I mean, regardless, even if Aspi plays, right, you still don't have the same amount of pace for Vardy.
The
So if
space,
he's
I
off
think
the
I
shoulder, it's very difficult to pick up. And then someone like Kepa or Mendy, whoever plays, it would be Kepa. They'll have to be on their toes all the time. So Leicester will go in with that, and I think their X factor has to be Tielemans today, because with Kovac is not playing, Kante has the responsibility of trying to manage the midfield defensively more than probably Jorginho does. And you just look at what Madison could offer, what NDD himself could offer physically going forward. But with Tielemans, he tends to make those intelligent late runs in the box, and sometimes he tends to drive with the ball, allowing someone like a Madison and NDD to be in those spaces where they can actually be effective. So this is where Leicester have a lot of threat. This is where they can capitalize. But I still think that this game, just the way it is, just the hype around the game, the pressure around the game, I think this will suit Leicester, because Leicester we've seen in those do or die situations last year where they didn't do well, but you saw in a game against Man United where they weren't really good. They weren't really the Leicester that you usually associate, but they got the clutch moment. They know how to grind games. We've seen that this season often enough, and I think considering how heavily this weighs on the careers of all of these guys, right? Winning an FA Cup with Leicester City. For Kasper Schmeichel, he's won the Premier League before. He's looking to win the FA Cup now with Leicester. So I think that intensity of the moment will suit them better. And considering that they really don't have anything else apart from the next Premier League game against Chelsea to look forward to, I think that will somewhere play in their minds and probably make them better suited for the final.
All right, fair enough. All right, boys. So I'll take the final few comments and come to you guys for your final predictions, of course, as we build up to this final. And I can see, yeah, this
Also,
is
yes,
it.
just because Vipul is here, massive kudos to Ferran Torres. His first goal was a piece of work, man. I mean, it
Yeah, man.
was brilliant.
It is, it really was out of the books of some of these crafty strikers. Like, I've seen Lewandowski try those flicks. I've seen Zlatan try those flicks. So
Yeah.
it's quite a finish that
If
for Ferran
Ferran's
Torres.
playing this well, would you want to spend all of that money? I mean, on anyone
Uh,
else? I'm not talking about Erling
I don't
Haaland. I'm
think
not
he's a
talking he's
striker.
as good, but
I don't think
They
he's a
anyway need a
striker
they
though.
striker.
I don't think he's a
They
striker.
anyway need a striker.
but they don't need a proper number nine. They don't play them like that.
I'm
That's the
sure. I'm
point.
At
sure
at some
they'll
moment
get a
they will.
mega. I'm sure they will get a striker. Someone, there are like three major strikers on the market
They
right
won the
now.
Premier
So
League. They have to strengthen. I'm just saying it's
yeah, they
not that
have to.
Yeah,
surprising.
They might, yeah, and especially if they lose the Champions League final, they're definitely getting a striker. So yeah,
they are getting Kane.
Vipul says Alexander Arnold's game by the numbers: 86 touches, 14 recoveries, 5 crosses and chances created, 4 shots, 3. All right. So he's got 2 in most in the recoveries and the creation part. So he was stunning. I think 2 days back. Vipul applying for stats over TSD as soon as he reaches monetizing is what Pratmesh says. Kepa in the 11 today. Maybe he can go level with Pooran in terms of the clean sheets. Let's see. PP with IPL suspended, WTC finals still a month away. Football is the only thing left, bro. All right, Vipul, not for long. But yeah, PP also, until you upload our CSK all-time video, I don't know where it is. Pratmesh, by the way, all-time
It is with
video.
Anurag.
Yeah, so Vipul, you're pinching the wrong person, I suppose, and whatever connotation that means. I'll keep pinching you with these extraordinary city stats. Reggae is Pulisic trying to be Chelsea's Pandya. Reggae would hope not. But,
Let's not go there, man. Let's not go where. Let's not press where it hurts. And also,
Don't even know
I
what
feel
that means.
incredibly. I feel incredibly bad, right? Because Vipul saying that this is all I have to do. I mean, isn't he a City fan? Shouldn't he be happy about this? Like, what's wrong with him? That's my
good. It's all right. All right, boys. Pratmesh, starting with you. Your final predictions for the match before this devolves into anything else, as Vijay's face clearly shows. But
yeah. 2-1 Leicester in extra time.
Oh, baapre, lamba. Akshay?
1-0 Chelsea.
So much fun, Akshay, you are.
So much fun.
Delight.
Yeah.
Such a delight you are. 1-0. एकदम boring. क्या corner से header?
नहीं ओन गोल भाई ओन गोल मुझे तो कुछ फर्क नहीं पड़ेगा however the ball gets into the back of the net I don't care.
That's fair. I mean
Timo Werner. Yes.
I mean, I don't know, man. Anything could happen. I think I'll just randomly say 2-1 Chelsea. I don't know. I have no pre-match feelings for this game.
No pre-match.
That's exactly why I said, right? It doesn't feel like a cup final day for some reason.
No, it does. Please don't bring in your number 3. Exactly. I'll ask you this question before the Europa final.
It doesn't feel like a cup final, to be honest.
Sure.
Hashtag Manchester United aren't involved. Yeah. That's why, Pratmesh. Yeah. But can I make Kushagar ask me the question?
Yeah. What's your prediction, buddy? That's all. There's nothing else. Anything else you want to add, you can add.
No, I genuinely I get the whole Pratmesh's analogy of how it matters more to Leicester, but I also think this is Chelsea, one of the most competitive clubs in English football, and this is a new squad. The average age of our attack is somewhat like 24, 25. I think Hakim Ziyech is 28 and everyone else is like somewhere between 20 and 25. So for these boys to have to play the Champions League final, this is the prelude. This is the feeling of victory that's right in front of them. I don't think they're going to just think of this as, if they want a shitty game with Leicester, that's less important. Wait for a couple of days, right? So take this one seriously and win it, guys. I'm going for a 2-1 to Chelsea because I'm not counting out Leicester's ability as a threat.
Yeah.
Whatever. I want a penalty shootout. That's my only agenda.
Oh, that's a fantastic agenda, man. I hope
Kepa takes a penalty.
भाई केपा को कोई निकाले नहीं बाहर बस. That's my only thing. Like I hope Kepa doesn't become a manager once again.
So imagine if he subs in Mendy.
He will say no again. I'm pretty sure he'll say no again.
He's made it clear. No.
Karma.
Tuchel has made it clear.
Yeah.
Tuchel has made it clear.
I think for the whole FA
Kepa has
Cup
brought
run,
them to the final.
Yeah.
So he'll play the game.
It makes sense.
Complete.
Okay, all right. On that note, as I said, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for watching as well. Do keep watching. Do let us know what your predictions are for the match. Vipul is there saying only meaningful game will have for City is 2 weeks away. All right, and Vipul said 1-0 to Leicester. Jorginho to finish with the game with an own goal.
Also,
right.
Can this guy come for the pre-Champions League final?
Yeah, I'm sure he will.
And I hope Nathan Ake plays in the final.
Dude, he went from being relegated to the Premier League champion. Just saying, in the season.
Yeah, Anna has put a CSK video on hold and uploaded SRH pod. Wow, such an amazing marketing strategy. All right.
Yeah, SRH has problems, right? People like to talk about problems.
Vipul, your Anna has been very busy. He's been absent in all videos as well. So do send him a few inflammatory texts from our side as well. Yeah. All right. Thank you so much, boys, for joining us. Pratmesh, Akshay, Vijay, and of course Siddharth. we'll be live once again. We'll try to preview tomorrow's matches if possible. If not, we'll do a combined summation of all the leagues around on Monday, of course. And yes, we'll be back live with the cricket live as well on Monday. There'll be more updates on cricket on the cricketing field as well. So up until then, this is me Kushag signing off. Do check out TSD on all socials, and we'll see you soon.